Welcome to The Jersey Doesn't Come Off. This is episode 5. Today with me, I've got the usual.
It's your boy, Freddie Goodman, and I got...
This is your boy, the tallest member of the podcast, your boy Connor Johnson.
So we're going to be starting it off real quick here with some NFL. We're just passing week 8, and I can't watch football anymore. It's painful. It's painful being an Eagles fan.
Definitely not easy.
Oh my God. I didn't peep the game until probably like halftime, but I was checking the score throughout. And at one point in time, I was like, there's no way that this Cowboys team is giving the Eagles static right now. Like that was like, there's no way.
If we would have lost, I would have emotionally not been okay. I would have been done. I don't think I could have watched football the rest of the season. Because it's just so bad to see that we have so many good pieces and they won't fit. We're not getting the plays we need, and then we get all these injuries.
They're just close. Like, that's the thing. Like, when the Eagles score, like, I know this is probably true for every team, but they make it look so damn easy. Like, that drive, like, that had the Rieger touchdown and the Fulgham touchdown. Like, they make it look so easy when they're doing it, but then they'll just go 6 or 7 drives of, like, fucking around a lot.
Yeah, we just can't get down the field.
The thing is, we move the ball. It's just we have 2 or 3 drives every game that end on turnovers or fourth downs we don't convert or whatever. It's something we got to clear up, and that's why I'm worried about Carson Wentz right now, honestly.
I think he looks still not bad for what he has around him right now. A really weak O-line.
He looks decent.
His O-line is getting hurt every game.
No,
he has at least one O-lineman go down.
You're right about the offensive line.
He's starting to get no protection.
You're right about the offensive line, but you could argue the receivers won us the game last night. Them and the defense.
They did.
Because Fulgham played out.
Technically won the
Fulgham
game,
played out. Rieger played well. Greg Ward had one drop in like a big spot, but otherwise he played fine. Goddard looked good enough. Like, Wentz...
Boston Scott was a little iffy, but...
He looked pretty good. He was running the ball well. But I think the issues are not having an offensive coordinator. I think it's a big deal. Because I think Wentz is somebody that needs to be working on his mechanics every week and needs to be working on like the little things about being a quarterback. Like, Wentz obviously has the physical talent, the arm talent, and probably even knows the game well enough to be a really good NFL quarterback, but he's just got to make sure his mechanics are working.
Well, I think one of our biggest issues, like you said, is our play calling has been rough.
Well, yeah, that's why I think an offensive coordinator would help that. It'd definitely shore up the play like design, if nothing else.
Right.
Is it maybe
we've lost a lot of people this offseason coming in, so we don't have the same guys calling our offense as before. Well, and so I think the big adjustment for Doug that it's been is him really trying to figure out, okay, how do I run my offense?
And I'm
not
fine
how
with
do
us
we
running his
run the
offense.
offense.
I'm fine with us running his offense. My issue is when he's
I don't think he knows how to run it yet.
Well, this is the same offense we've been running for 3 and 4 since he's been here, is the thing. My point is, when you don't have an offensive line of coordinator who's able to develop drills and able to develop practices to get the guys good enough to play in the system that we play in, that's an issue we're having. Our defense, like, for as much as people on Twitter want to talk shit about James Schwartz, he's probably won us all 3 of the games that we've won.
No, our defense is really in it.
I really like our defense this year. I think our offense...
I think that's what's got y'all hanging on right now.
Right, I agree.
It really does.
And I think the issues with our offense come down to like play calling and execution. I don't necessarily think the plays that we're calling are badly designed plays, because they tend to work a lot. Like, we don't really have a ton of like broken down plays, and when we do, it's usually because of the offensive line, not because of the bad play design. But the play calling is an issue. This is something that happens to coaches where they just get stagnant in their play calling. Like, Andy Reid's given up play calling before, I believe. Like, I know the only one I could think that keeps calling him is Shanahan, but he at least has an offensive coordinator that helps him. Like, I think that's what the Eagles need right now. They need a disciplinarian guy in the quarterback's room to say, hey, Wentz, stop fucking around with your shoulder like this. Throw the ball out of bounds. Like, I'm not saying that Doug's not telling him that, but just more people need to be saying that to him, I think.
But that's always been one of Carson's big things, even since he came into the league.
You're definitely right.
He does not want to get tackled. He doesn't want to get tackled. So he sees a defensive lineman coming at him.
No, he doesn't want to give the ball up. That's what the issue. He always wants to make a play, which I love because he keeps us into games, but he's got to be able to marry the two. He can't be just trying to force balls every play. Right. He's always had 3 or 4 bad plays a game, which I think is fine for a quarterback because not everybody can be Mahomes or Brady. But he's got to make sure that those 3 or 4 bad plays a game he has don't really cost the team.
Right. And I think it almost did. And if our defense doesn't pick up that
Right.
fumble and recover it, I think we're honestly in contention to lose that game.
I don't know if I never really felt like the game was out of control last night, but it was definitely too close.
At the half, I was a little bit worried. I
wasn't worried.
Going down.
When I tuned in, though, you guys were like kind of coming back into the game a bit. Like you guys are kind of getting back to yourselves a little. So I didn't think it was too bad. Like I said, first half, I was like, oh my God, if this happens, Streets is done. But after that, I was like, oh, okay, like kind of coming back a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, well, if we look at Carson, I think he's playing a lot like Lamar Jackson, who just cost the Ravens.
Oh my God. Okay. So Steelers, we got our division game. Huge rivalry between the Steelers and the Ravens. That game yesterday, I was on edge. I was stressed, the anxiety, I'm sweating. I'm like, oh my God, there's no way. Even up until the last play. Shout out to Minkah, because if he doesn't do what he does, Lamar might complete that. And also too, while the defense held it down the best they could yesterday, that game showed me a lot about Lamar. And I know we talk about how Lamar can't win a game if he's like coming from behind, and he's got to work on his arm. His IQ isn't all the way there yet, but that man is coming.
He is. You can see
And
it.
like and I saw a lot of flashes of like, if his arm is a little bit better, if his IQ is there, we might lose that game. Honestly, a little scary how close Lamar is. I'm gonna be honest. And like I said, it showed me a lot about Lamar. But between them leading most of the game, Big Ben being Big Ben,
He did look good. I'm not gonna lie. He did
really
look
did.
very good.
I was up and down. But our O line is solid. Our defense is solid. Man, I cannot stress enough. If Lamar is a little bit better, we could lose that game. But we didn't. He isn't at that point yet, and we're 7-0. So I'm happy.
You guys play them in 3 weeks, don't you? You play them Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we do.
I think with Lamar, one of the biggest things I think is really getting to him is his own ego. And I
Okay.
hate to say that,
Really?
but
Interesting.
I think he now, after, league MVP, has a certain level that he has to hit.
Mm.
And you can see he's not the same quarterback as he was last year. He's playing the same way, but he's not the same quarterback, if that makes sense.
He's a great
So he's coming
front
onto
runner.
the field, and he has this statue like, I have to be the man. I have to be the guy that's getting it done. And I think that's starting to get to him, and we see these flashes of him just making awful decisions.
Well, he only threw like 4 interceptions yesterday.
If he tries to get a pass off before that last play of the game, because he ran it on third down and cost
did.
him the game. If he gets a good pass off there, and there was a couple guys that had enough space that they could have made a catch, instead of running it down the middle and 5 jerseys collapsing on you, try to make the pass. It's those little things that you see now that you're like, he wants to be the guy, but he's not the same quarterback anymore.
Well, it's probably a lot of the same shit Wentz is dealing with. You're right about that.
Which is why I said, like, if his IQ was like a little bit better, because there were certain plays where it's like, okay, yeah, you tossed that. And then there are other plays where it's like, okay, you want to go deeper on that. And then sometimes where you got to run it. And I think his brain was a little bit crossed where, like, on times where you should have passed it, he ran it.
Mhm.
Times where you should have done like a little quick toss, like a little baseball toss, he's, trying to throw a little bomb or something like that. And like doing that over and over, you know what I'm saying? It kind of costs you.
No, that's fair.
He's, I'm saying he's working on himself. Like, I think he knows his faults. I think he knows where he needs to kind of step up. And even if he doesn't look like how he looked last season, I think in another season or two,
Right.
he's going to be a very bad man. His arm is going to get better. He'll be able to make the smart, like if he can make the smart play
Uh-huh.
when he needs to and know like, okay, like for example, the final play of the game, I forget who it was. Old boy is in the end zone though.
Mhm.
If Minkah doesn't, squat that, we lose the game. So it didn't.
Did you think there was interference on that last play?
Nah.
I think it was a dirty hit.
Yeah. I think if anything, you call that a dirty hit, but I don't think it was interference because even when I had like watched the play again,
He's clearly going for the ball.
yeah. So I don't necessarily think so, but like I said, that was the smart play. So he had made like a couple bonehead plays, and then he had made a couple really solid plays down the stretch. The wheels just wasn't on his side for that game.
No, that's fair.
Thanksgiving will be interesting having to play them again.
I'm excited to preview that game when we get there.
I just want to say real quick, that bad man in Cincinnati, Joe Burrow.
That man, Joe Burrow, he's looking like the quarterback he's supposed to be. I'm very excited.
Yeah, Titans are, you know what I'm saying? They was 5-1. Now Cincinnati got 2 of them things. Joe Burrow was looking solid, and I know we've said this before, but as Cincinnati continues to build more around Joe,
right,
the Bengals are going to be coming back to being like a team in our division that it's going to be tight. Like our division is going to be tough. Like I've said before a million times, we're the Spurs of football. So we have seasons where we don't look 100%, but we're still pretty lethal. And then we have seasons where we look like this.
Right.
Whether we have a 50-50 season or a 100% season, us, Lamar, a couple years down the road, he makes his adjustments. The Bengals, they have a solid team. If they put their solid team together, we have a tough division. And I'm excited to see how that goes down.
That's a good point to make, Fred.
You guys do, and I think Joe Burrow is really going to start to sprout as a quarterback. I think once they start to really get him an O-line, please, I'm just going to say please. Like, protect this man. He's only a rookie.
Yeah, I know.
If they can start giving him some protection, he can start slanging that ball.
Yeah.
He'll just absolutely light everybody up. If you give him the time, he's just throwing darts to the end zone, 60-yard bombs. His arm looks so clean and so smooth, and every pass you see him, it just his mechanics are point on.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Derrick Henry did Derrick Henry things. 112 yards and a tutty.
Oh,
understandable. Nobody's gonna stop that man from getting his yards, but I don't know. I think Ryan Tannehill has his days where he looks absolutely insane, and you're like, you're this good? And then you have nights like yesterday where, he doesn't throw a lot, but he misses half his passes. Still gets 230 yards and 2 touchdowns, but you threw an interception. That's going to cost you. And you're only making half your passes? Like, every time you throw the ball, it's a 50-50?
You guys last week were like, yo, if Baker wakes up feeling dangerous,
right,
better be ready to eat those words.
He didn't
I guess he was feeling calm with that light 6 points.
Freddie, did you see the wind in that game? I'm not making an excuse for him, but did you see the wind in that game?
The wind was all right.
40 mile an hour gusts, bro. That's tough to play. Neither team was moving the ball on offense.
I'm about to say there was only 1 touchdown in the entire game.
Yeah, it's not like
it was a very low scoring game.
Hey, the Eagles outscored them.
And yeah.
And that was a dumpster fire.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, we did. You dead right, Donnie.
Yes, they did. I mean, you're right. Like, the Raiders didn't really play too well. They were dropping passes on offense that
wind was nuts.
They shouldn't have really dropped. They didn't do a great job of stopping runs, but Cleveland just kept shooting themselves in the foot. And then, of course, there's the win. So
there we go.
So interesting game, you know what I'm saying? Just want to say, you
mean not interesting game?
I don't have to eat my words on that one.
I guess you can take it that way. I'd just be kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
1 touchdown?
That's disappointing.
Hey, maybe somebody's a defensive fan out there.
Each quarterback had a little bit over 100, not 125, maybe.
I get the Baker Mayfield hate. I get it. I don't really think he's going to be that great, but I think he's a little better than people are giving him credit for right now. And I really have no reason to say that because I'm not a Browns fan. I'm not an Oklahoma fan. I wasn't a fan of him in college. I didn't even think he was the right pick at number 1 when they drafted him.
Ooh,
really?
Because they had the 5th pick in the draft that year. Only other team that needed a quarterback was either the Giants, who had Eli, or the Jets, who took Darnold. they could have had any player in the draft. They could have taken Saquon and Baker at 1 and 5. Like, Baker would have been there at 5. Like, I thought they reached for him.
Yeah.
On the other side, I also like the fact that they said, this guy's our guy. We're taking him over everybody else. Like, I kind of like that, too.
You instill that confidence in him. That's like,
Yeah.
you know, we really do want you. Like, we
Right.
took you number 1. We told you you're gonna take you number 1. Come here, be our guy.
Yeah, I
get
like
us
that
some
they
wins.
put the faith in him. I always like when that kind of shit happens.
I think it really just come down to like feeling
Right.
comfortable, because coming into the league, I'm sure, is terrifying.
One other thing I'll say about Baker is this is his, what, third offensive coordinator and third coach in 3 years?
It is.
That consistency helps.
No, you're not lying, bro. But see, there's just so many issues with the Browns.
Is there? Is there, though?
There's like they don't have a solid enough front office
No, that's true.
to really pull things together.
Right.
I
okay.
think if they did, you know, and you put the pieces around Baker, maybe he looks a little bit better. But then even
I think
so,
the only
like
thing they're missing is a
you got
quarterback.
Odell, and there's no chemistry between him and Odell, which I'm still very surprised by. Like I always just kind of figured, you know, Baker likes to throw, Odell likes to catch.
I agree with Fred. Their front office has not always been great.
Real quick, can we just run through, you know what I'm saying? The Fight Club, you know what I'm
Dude,
saying?
why is
that was being
everybody
hosted
fighting?
at this?
Why is everybody fighting Gardner Johnson like this? Because he fought Michael Thomas a few weeks ago.
Yeah. What is he saying to these people?
I heard he spit on the guy.
So I
Well, he's doing stuff. He poked him in the
No, no,
eye.
I heard
apparently,
he
yeah, like
spit
he
on
had
him.
like slapped him or something. He like ripped his mouth.
That I saw.
Out.
Well, he took his chain.
Yeah, yo,
John Wims, I think.
anybody snatching your chain is crazy. So he gets
On a
his
football
chain
field.
snatched and then punched in the face.
Bro, that was a nasty hit, though.
Yeah, it was.
He said, "I'm gonna hit you once. I'm gonna turn you, and I'm gonna
That
hit you
first
again."
punch
That
was
was wild.
hilarious. Dude hit him, and he's like, "Wait, boys."
He's like,
He,
what?
like, looked
He was in
He
shock.
looked at his boys. He's like, "Yo, this dude just punched me," and then he looked back and got punched right again. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was.
All right, but he definitely did instigate it. Like, if you put your finger inside my face mask,
Like
I'm
I
gonna be a
said,
little mad
Javon
too.
Wims
Yeah.
told the officials.
But it wasn't even his face mask, though. That was the crazy thing. It wasn't even his face mask. It was his teammate that then came over to defend
well, I
his
heard
honor.
Javon
And
Wims
was
said
like,
that he
nah,
spit on
nobody
him,
messes
too,
with my
which
teammate.
there's a time and a place when that's cool, but not now. If the dude got spit on, in a pandemic, I get it. Because like people are getting arrested for that
Yeah.
in the real world. Like that's worth fighting somebody for in the NFL.
Also, too, man, I mean, just spitting in general, like, I know, especially, you know, in the black community,
Okay.
that's a declaration of war.
Oh.
If you spit on
Oh
somebody,
yeah, them be fighting.
you better,
words.
yeah. If, like, people have even gone as far to say, you know, if you spit on me, I hope you called your mother beforehand and told her what casket you
Oh
want.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, if you're spitting on somebody, you really need to have thought about that decision and really be prepared for the consequences that you will see in 0.5 following that saliva leaving your mouth.
So they suspended Javon Wims 2 games. Do you think that's enough?
Nobody got hurt. Nobody got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's a pandemic. Like,
2 games is fine. One for
mean,
one for
he
each
didn't get
punch,
hurt,
and he got
but,
kicked
like-
out of the game. I mean, that makes sense.
I mean, I think you suspend him more than 2. I think you give him at least 3 just to
Okay.
send a message. Cause like it wasn't even like it was a tussle or anything. Like you literally came from like 10 yards away to come
Well, I
punch
guess-
me. Like there's
Yeah,
some.
I see
malicious
that.
intent
I see
behind
that. Yeah, I'm
no, you're
cool
right.
with 2.
I think. See, I'm not mad at 3 games. I mean, 3 is understandable. I don't think, you know what I'm saying, 2 is bad. Like, I like 2. I don't hate 3.
But they've kicked guys out of the league for less.
That's true.
All right, so Thursday night we're looking at Packers Niners.
Finally have a good game.
All right, Thursday night's been rough so far. Well, obviously I'm gonna throw it to Aaron Rodgers because he's gonna go down as a GOAT. So I'm picking Packers.
I think the Niners are going to win, even without Kittle and Garoppolo. Packers still have a really
You're going for the Niners over
well.
Aaron Rodgers? I'm not betting against Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, the thing, the Packers still cannot stop the run. They give up big plays in the run. San Francisco, they already don't have like a really, I don't want to say explosive offense, but their offense is predicated around short passes and like running the ball. Like that's what Green Bay can't defend. And then on defense, like Green Bay, like San Francisco's defense matches up good with Green Bay's offense anyway. So I'm not saying it's for sure that the San Francisco is going to win, but I'm going to pick them.
I could definitely see them making a push.
It's like,
I think Aaron Rodgers is just that guy.
He's not that guy against San Francisco and Shanahan. He got smoked last year in the title game. He lost to Shanahan when Shanahan was in Atlanta. Like, Aaron Rodgers does not set up well against offenses that have the ball forever and score big running plays. Like, it's not who he plays against well. Like, look, the Eagles beat him last year, and they ran the ball like 40 times, and Jordan Howard is the best player on the field, and that's how we beat them in Lambeau. Like, that's how you beat the way you beat the Packers is exactly how the Niners play every game. San Francisco, regardless of who their quarterback is, like, they're always going to be in games. Like, this last week, I think they were thrown in flux by the injuries mid-game, but they are given time to prepare. Like, they're not going to – I don't think they're going to get blown out. They're still going to win games, like, without Garoppolo and Kittle. Like, they're too well coached and their scheme's good enough to do it.
We got our trash can game of the week. Giants versus the Washington football team. Pick your favorite dumpster fire.
Washington.
Yeah, defense is good enough.
Hey, the Giants did not look that bad.
Yeah, even with that, because you know what? There are always anomalies here and there.
For sure.
To the Washington football team, and the Giants are still going to be the Giants. So
that's true.
All right, then we got the Bears and the Titans. Bears 5-3, Titans 5-2.
I picked the Titans there.
Titans, yeah. Because even, like, with their whole thing about defense winning the game and stuff, like the Titans...
I'm going to go Bears.
All right, yeah. Are you going to stop Derrick Henry? That's what I thought. All right, word.
I'm not going to stop
Derrick
Henry.
That's what I'm saying, like...
Because he'd flatten me. But I think if anybody's going to stop Derrick Henry, I think it's going to be...
The Bears, they do have a good defense.
And then, you got Nick Foles.
Yes, I didn't know. I didn't think he played that well last week.
He's had a rough start, but I think he's looking pretty good.
We'll see. I don't know if Chicago has enough offense to stay with whatever the Titans have.
So we're going on. We got Ravens Colts, both 5-2 right now.
The Colts, no. All right, so the Colts are tough. I'm not going to front.
Right.
But I don't know. I'm going to go Ravens.
I think Lamar Jackson coming off a bad week wants to turn it around.
The Ravens play the Titans in 2 weeks and the Steelers in 3 weeks. This kind of is setting. I don't want to say that the Ravens are going to take the Colts lightly, but you might be thinking that they're looking ahead to those 2 big games 2 weeks and 3 weeks from now. So this game kind of sets up as a bit of a trap game for them. I think the Ravens are more talented, but this is the NFL. I think it's going to be a close game, honestly. I guess I'd pick the Ravens to win still, but I think it's going to be close. I wouldn't be surprised if there's an upset here.
So I changed mine as long as the Ravens have the lead.
Well, that's every game for the Ravens. Well, that's how every game is for the Ravens.
Are you putting a causality into it here?
Yeah, no, it's them. Final answer.
All right. After that, we got the Seahawks and the Bills. Seahawks 6-1, Bills 6-2.
This game, I think, is going to be high scoring. I don't think either of these defenses are going to stop the other, and this could be a Russell Wilson 6-touchdown game or 5-touchdown game and a Josh Allen 4-touchdown game. I think both of these offenses
I'm gonna have to give to the Seahawks. Still.
I think the Seahawks will win. Yeah, I just think there's gonna be a lot of points.
It's definitely gonna be a good game.
I'm excited. I'll probably watch that game.
I don't even know if I could pick this, like, because Russell Wilson is trying to be the MVP this year.
He's looking about to be.
Tom Brady is turning back the hands of Father Time, as I so hate to put it. You know what? I'm gonna go with the Hawks. I'm going with the Hawks. Sorry, Tom.
All right, after that, we've got the Dolphins and the Cardinals. Dolphins 4-3, Cardinals 5-2.
I think the Dolphins win that game.
With Tua now playing?
Yeah.
I think he's going to start looking good. He got his first snaps and he looked good, but I think I'm still going to have to give it to Kyler Murray.
Cardinals.
Yeah. I think Kyler Murray's been on a tear this year, looking like a much more comfortable quarterback in his offense. And the Dolphins, are the Dolphins.
Dolphins have a good defense too. Like they have Byron Jones, their cornerback, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could see him playing some good coverage on Hopkins for sure, and maybe shutting down the offense a little bit.
I think the Cardinals their offense is scary.
It can be. We'll see how they are without Kenyon Drake though. He was a big part of it.
I think they'll be all right because I don't think they run the ball nearly as much. Now
they
starting to hit the passes.
They like the balance there. I know that.
And then we got our Sunday night game. We actually have a good game this week. So we have the Saints 5-2, and then the Buccaneers 5-2. Drew
Hey, there we
Brees
go, Tom.
versus Tom Brady.
I'm going to go with Father Tom.
I think I'm gonna go against you. I think I'm going Saints. I think I like Drew Brees more than Tom Brady, personally. So I'm gonna be biased this week.
Nah, bro, somebody was saying that too, and I just like because Drew Brees has looked good. I'm not gonna front. Drew Brees has looked really good. Michael Thomas has looked really good, but I just feel like
Michael Thomas might not even play.
Tom has got this because also too this is a division game. You know what I'm saying? So Tom
Right.
is gonna be extra locked in.
Yeah, I'm picking the Bucks this week. I think the Saints. I think they're still very good. I still think if they get Michael Thomas back and his head's on right, they can still be one of the best teams in the league. But they seem like they've taken a step down this year. It may also just be that Tampa's good and Carolina's a little better, but I definitely think the Saints are taking a little bit of a step down, but I still think they can beat anybody in the league. But I think Tom gets a little bit of revenge from week 1.
Oh, you think he's feeling dangerous? He's got some revenge to take.
Well, if you look at it, Godwin's healthy, Evans is healthy, Gronk's playing well, Fournette's running the ball well, Ronald Jones is running the ball well. Like everything's kind of clicking for him right now. Like they beat the shit out of the Packers a couple weeks ago, and nobody really saw that coming.
No, I think it's gonna come down to who you personally think the GOAT is here. And you know who my GOAT is?
Who?
Adam Silver.
Oh, what a
this
transition!
man is bringing back the league. NBA, baby. I'm so excited. He's shooting for a December 22nd league start. We
Yeah,
can be
that's
friends.
stupid. Why not just start on Christmas Day and make it a bigger deal than it usually is?
Because you gotta have those games to get out of the way so that some team's first game is going to be played on Christmas.
Yeah, but make everybody's first game on Christmas.
Well, that's too many games for Christmas. You really
It
only
should
have
be
the
like
key
some
games.
exhibition
exhibition type thing. You feel me?
They should have Lakers Clippers or Lakers Heat, like a big matchup Christmas Eve, and then 6 games Christmas Day, and then start the season fully like next day or two, and then play 50
Yeah.
games or whatever.
I could see, but I think they want all of their games to be nationally televised. Which,
Yeah, but they
they
already
only
are,
play
though.
4 games.
They already are.
Not on ABC. ABC's your Christmas Day games. They get way more viewers there than anywhere else.
No, you're right about
just because
that.
it's
But
a local channel.
they still have ESPN and they still have TNT that they usually launch the season on TNT anyway.
Yeah.
So
but
why
all
not
their
lau-
nationally
why not
televised
launch-
games, the big ones?
Why not launch the season on ABC? Is my point.
Because it's not national. Like you have to pay for that extra
For
rather
which
than
one?
it just being normal TV for both of them.
For
TNT and
ABC or
ESPN.
TNT? Yeah, and what I'm saying is they usually start the season on TNT.
And they still will
Mhm.
on December 22nd.
Yeah, it's a Tuesday night. I was saying start ESPN Friday night or ESP or do the Thursday night game, which is Christmas Eve on TNT. Start the season, and the next day start 4 or 5 other games on Christmas Day throughout the day. That was my only point.
Nah, I don't think. I think that what they should do is see. So we just wrapped up the season. You feel me? Like even if, and then we get the draft in a couple weeks. Doing that quick of a turnaround, like you got all these rookies who haven't even had time to get like affiliated with the training camp and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're looking at a little bit of a shit show for the season if you do that. So I think that what they should do though is like introduce some like light practices leading up. That way everybody can get back in shape a little bit, and then maybe have a Christmas Day like exhibition game that doesn't count, and then you start the season on like Martin Luther King Day or in February or something like that.
Well, how many games do
And
you
then
want to
if
play
you
next
don't
year?
want to do the Christmas Day stuff, then like just wait until like Dr. King
Well,
Day.
so that actually came out that a lot of players wanted up until Martin Luther King Day to start the season. So that's when some players, not all of them, but some players wanted to start then. But I think Adam Silver here saying he wants to start on December 22nd, that's just when the first game is going to be played. So before
Well,
that, there will still be training camps and stuff. They've already had stuff put in place for the draft so they can look at prospects and interviews and all that kind of stuff. So we're seeing them handle this really well, in my opinion. That they're out here making sure everybody's being safe, but that everybody still is getting their business done. Like to see right now LaMelo Ball and James Wiseman and Anthony Edwards, like they're gonna start going.
Shout out Ant-Man.
They're gonna start going to teams and going to practices with other teams and traveling because you know,
Right.
teams want to look at them. But the NBA has done it in a way that it's going to be super safe for everybody, and it's going to come out really well. And I think, in my opinion, the NBA has handled what they've been given the best.
Okay, so then do you go back to the bubble then?
That's a very good question. I think we're going to see miniature bubbles, as in there will be 8-9 teams and there will be 2-3 bubbles, because having all these teams in one location is very hard and it's very grueling. So if you can have less people, they'll still be able to bring their families and whatnot, and it'll be more open. Not quite as open as how the NFL per se is, but enough that they can still see their families and stuff, and it's not as taxing on them mentally to just be alone.
Right.
But nobody really knows. They haven't announced any plan or anything like that. They really just said, hey, this is our day. This is all we're releasing. This is when we want to start. And, we're working like hell to figure it out.
Man, that's just another thing that I feel like Corona has kind of blown, is like how you go about even doing this, because, even if you do something like that, like even in the bubble, you had a couple folks who were still kind of doing their own thing, like Lemon Pepper Lou or Daniel House trying to bring old girl up to his room, and now he's getting pieced out.
Right.
So I think, it might just be better to wait it out.
Yeah, I could definitely see why you would want to wait it out. I think for them, it just comes down to how much money they can get. And by starting right around Christmas and getting those Christmas Day ratings huge, they're going to save so much more money 100%. Than they would have lost.
That's true.
I think he said they're going to only lose about $1 billion, which, to us is a huge number. But to the NBA is like, we'll brush it off.
It's like,
We'll sell some more merch somewhere. We'll charge a little bit more for tickets when we let limited seating in.
Right.
But I'm really excited. But
I'm excited
before
for
we
the
even
season.
get to the season, we've got teams still making moves, baby.
Very
and
true.
The Sixers are starting to make me proud.
Donovan, I will say this. As a Philadelphia sports fan, I'm very excited for the Sixers, but my expectations are very, very low.
Oh, 100%. I'm not expecting anything good.
No, not at all.
So what were you guys thinking? Second round? I think y'all are going to have the craziest second round exit. Like, you guys got all the pieces for it.
Wait. Even crazier than the Toronto series?
Nah, like you guys are making the second round for sure. You feel me?
Yeah,
like you got
easy.
all the second round pieces around you.
We just have to get farther than that.
Right.
And I think it's going to be hard to tell until, we start trading players and stuff like that. But, with Daryl Morey just getting there, like, they've had small talks, but there's been no, like, oh, we're going to make this trade and here's who we're looking at, and here's the players that we're going to try to acquire, and here's who we can let walk. Like, we won't know any of that for probably at least another month. So I do think that some big changes are coming.
That's true.
Well, see, I don't think that they're gonna blow up the Ben Embiid situation just yet.
No, Daryl Morey say that.
Morey today said that he plans on keeping Simmons and Embiid,
which makes me so happy to hear.
Yeah, like I think you guys got one more season.
Yeah.
Before everybody's like, all right.
Somebody's got to go.
Yeah, but Donovan, weren't you saying that, like, there's a way to keep them?
Yeah, they could keep both of them easily. It would be the question of, do they want to? And I think, personally, I don't give them just 1 year. I'm giving them at least till their contracts run up, if not are close to running up, which you still have about 2-3 years. I'm running them together as long as I can, changing everything around them before I touch either one of them. Because they're both generational talents. Like, that's undisputed. They're both insane players. You just have to find a way that the rest of the team can complement those two, not only individually, but together. And I think that's been one of their biggest issues. But that's why I like this hire with Daryl Morey. I think he's really going to bring in that outside perspective that goes, here's the little things in players that you need that can really push
the analytics
your
guy.
2 stars.
He's the analytics guy.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Hypothetically, Donovan, Freddie, are you trading Ben Simmons for James Harden?
No. Get that out of here.
I wouldn't.
You're going to lose you're going to lose a lot of facilitation and gain a lot of scoring.
We don't have a real point guard anymore.
Yeah, but we need scoring more than anything, Fred.
Well, I think we're going to lose too much defense out of Ben Simmons, who arguably should have been Defensive Player of the Year. I still hold this grudge.
He was up there, yeah.
James Harden's defense is not bad, despite what Twitter says. He's a good defender.
Yeah, people who say that James Harden doesn't play defense haven't seen basketball since 2015.
But I think you're losing too much defense and too much facilitating. And then you're not going to have a real point guard. You're going to have to run Shake Milton at the 1, and
No, we could.
that only went
They
so
could always
well.
They could always find a point guard. Like they have a mid-level exception they can use on somebody.
Then you worry the fact that, hey, my point guard's not going to facilitate nearly as well as Ben. So
Well,
what's the point?
Harden will be scoring a lot more than Ben.
Yeah, but who do you really? You don't really. He doesn't really fit with us.
I think Harden and Embiid would be awesome together.
Harden and Embiid would be awesome, but Harden with the rest of our team.
Yeah, and you surround the team with you surround the team with 3-and-D guys or shooters. Like
Well, but then we just become the Rockets with Clint Capella.
no, you're the Rockets with Embiid, who arguably who could have won a title with that team. If you put Embiid on those teams instead of Capella with the Rockets, I can't see any team.
Oh, nasty,
Yeah.
nasty.
Why,
nasty.
Donovan? Why don't you want that?
Because I like Embiid. Why would I want
Yeah,
to get rid of him?
I
Embiid's
think-
such a much better player than Capella in every way.
Oh well, yeah, 100%. If I have to pick either of them, I'm always picking Embiid.
Yeah. So my point is, if we build the team where it's hypothetically Harden and Embiid are the two guys, the floor spacing would be ridiculous because everybody would have to go out on to Harden to guard him, which would just leave Embiid so open in the post. They could be like perfect for each other in a way. I'm not saying I want to do this, but like if they did it, I'm not complaining.
Do you trade Embiid and keep Simmons? Because you could make this happen. This could definitely happen.
Depends on what the trade is. Depends on the trade.
Yeah, if you're trading for like a big man around that size, I'd say yeah.
No, I think it depends on the trades.
That's why I'm saying like I think it does depend, and I think if you're getting a big man.
I don't see the point of trading for a big man.
But wait, you're saying to get Harden, or you're just saying in
We're
general?
saying who would you trade Simmons or Embiid for?
I wouldn't trade them for anybody personally. But if the Rockets wanted a deal get done, I don't think we can get that done with them to give them Embiid. I don't think they have anything that would be amazing for the Sixers.
So what I'll say about a Simmons or Embiid trade is, I think you could arguably trade them for the same player, like each guy, and it would bring out different things in their game. Because I'm thinking Devin Booker for Ben Simmons trade could be really good for the Sixers and potentially even the Suns if they.
I feel like the Sixers lose that trade.
I don't think they would.
Devin Booker, unlike James Harden, does not play defense.
Right, but Embiid.
So you're getting a shooter, but you're losing all of your defense on the perimeter.
Right, but 3-and-D guys are not relatively easy to find, but they're easier to find than guys who can shoot and score and play like Devin Booker.
So you make the trade for Devin Booker.
For Simmons, maybe.
I make the trade for Harden.
For who?
Simmons. I thought about it because listen, you can get another facilitator. You feel me? Like Danilo Gallinari is up. You can just trade for him.
No.
I was thinking Rondo, but okay. If you want to say Gallinari's your point guard, that's fine.
I'm about to say you would have to get a point guard because if you do anything else, James Harden has to play one.
He won an MVP playing point guard, though.
That's fair.
And that's understandable, but he wasn't a huge facilitator like that. He had the numbers, but it's the little things that Ben Simmons does that you're gonna miss with James Harden, and that's just because that's what Ben does.
Yeah, but there's going to be new things that Harden brings us that Simmons doesn't. Like, say for example, if Embiid does not play well, it's very, very tough for us to win because Simmons can't take over a game scoring. Harden can do that.
Well, that's going to be Tobias Harris's job.
Tobias Harris can't take over a game, man. I love Tobias Harris, like as a dude. I think he's a really good third option. He's not a guy that's scoring 30 straight points if they need him to.
He has, though. He's had his nights where he's scored 30.
Tobias Harris has been a really good player when the team is okay, like middle of the pack, and he's the best player and gets the most shots on the team. That's when he's at his best.
Okay, but see, here's the thing, though. We're going to see a different Tobias Harris because he's back with Doc Rivers.
Sir.
But I don't know if I can say anything solid about Toby until I see him playing on the Sixers with Doc. You know what I'm saying?
All right, what I'll say is, who was he on those Doc Rivers teams? He was the best player and took the most shots, and they were in a middle of the pack, like 7-8 seed.
Yes.
That's where he's best at. That's where he was really good in Orlando, and he was pretty good in Detroit playing those same exact roles. Mm-hmm. But when he got to Philly and he had to be more of a consistent player, it's not where he's good at. Like, as much as I like that, I think he's a great dude. I think he's an above average player, but he's a guy that like is great when he's shooting the ball well and playing well, but he's a very inconsistent guy.
I mean, I think the Sixers next season, regardless, we're gonna see a whole different team. We're gonna have a whole new offense.
And I can't wait.
We're gonna have a whole new defense. So I think it's kind of hard to judge our pieces until one, we make all the moves that we're gonna make, which something's coming. Nobody really knows what it is, but trades are gonna start happening soon. So, and then two, until we really figure out what kind of offense Doc is gonna try to run, because we saw with Brett Brown, he couldn't get the offense going. He couldn't. Our defense was always pretty freaking great.
It was good enough.
But it was our offense that we just couldn't get it going, and we couldn't keep it going.
We didn't really have a half court offense.
It was a lot of transition. It was a lot of play D and get back.
Somebody make a shot or Embiid do something.
We're gonna try to post up Embiid. Like, we need more, and so I think Doc is gonna really bring that out of us.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. Side note, D'Antoni is now an assistant coach for the Nets. They also got Amari Stoudemire.
The Suns getting their ring.
I was just about to say, so now we're looking at the 7 seconds or less Suns coaching the Nets. Now, while I am like straight up a Steelers fan up and down with football, I bounce around season to season in basketball. Mm-hmm. So people get mad at me a lot, all right, because you can't pick a team, blah, blah. But I'll tell you one thing, I don't really lose a lot because I'm always picking the team that wins to root for every season.
Boo,
so,
boo.
For example, last season, right, I was a Lakers fan. I really wanted LeBron to get his fourth ring. This season, I haven't decided to opt in for a second year or go into free agency as a fan yet. But if I do, I'm leaning to signing with the Nets, as a fan for a year, just a year. And I just want to say I like what they're doing coaching-wise. So for right now, just so everybody knows, I'm in between the Lakers and the Nets, thinking about re-signing with the Lakers, but I might go with the Nets. And I like the 7 seconds or less Suns coaching the Nets.
Do you think Steve Nash will be as good or better as a coach than Steve Kerr?
I don't think he's Steve Kerr. I think
he's going to be better.
I think, so usually I think sometimes, right, the better the player, the worse the coach. But we're not talking about like somebody who was just a great scorer with Steve Nash. We're talking about somebody who like could really run an offense with Steve Nash. I want to see first, but honestly, I think he might be as good as Steve Kerr, if not better. The thing is, though, which is tricky, is that when Steve Kerr became the coach of the Warriors, Steph didn't really like him. Steph eventually bought into what Steve Kerr was trying to put on with the team. And once they all bought in, things started looking up. If Kyrie doesn't buy in to what Steve Nash is trying to do, we're going to be looking at a team that's in a lot of turmoil, and then people are going to say that Kyrie's being a cancer again. It kind of really just depends on that, because like if Steve Nash says, Kyrie, I need you to get Karras more touches, and he goes, fuck him, he can't even shoot in the last 10 seconds. Like, what are you going to do with that? Like, Steve Nash is telling you what to do, and you're not listening. Like, that doesn't mean that Steve Nash isn't going to be as good as a coach. It just means that Kyrie is doing what he wants to do. So
it's all about dealing with stars. And Steve Kerr got lucky enough that he kind of grew up with Steph, so he had that respect. But coming in and having like an NBA star already on your team, let alone 2 NBA stars, it's going to be a lot to handle. But for me, what I'm looking at is just like you said, better player doesn't mean better coach. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at what they actually did in the NBA. Steve Kerr learned to run the offense because he had to get those open shots. So he had to memorize where he needed to be, how he needed to be there, all that kind of stuff. Whereas you're looking at Steve Nash, and he was making all of that happen. So I'm thinking, if he can draw up those plays and go, hey, in my experience, if I have you run a screen into the paint, this guy is going to come out for the double team. So you see this guy on the right side of the court, you're going to pass the ball and he's going to have a wide open shot. He sees those things naturally rather than, hey, here's the play that's drawn up. Let me make sure that I'm running this to perfection and guessing and making sure I'm there where I need to be there.
You're right.
Okay.
No, you're right. I couldn't have said it better, bro. I completely agree. you know, the Nets have like when Kyrie. So, all right, for one thing, right? Because Kyrie and I are from the same town. We're also both from Jersey. Can never slander that man. I always hold him in very high regard, as does everybody in my hometown. But I do think that sometimes he might say or do something that he doesn't really need to say or do. For example, when he said that they're a couple of pieces away, and you have Kevin Durant, what more pieces do you need, bro?
Mm-hmm.
So if they can come together, if the whole team can come together and everybody can share and Kyrie can
Mm-hmm.
facilitate a little bit more, I think things look better. Especially because, like you were saying, like Steve Nash, he came in different. So if he can kind of just like put that on to Kyrie a little bit, I think they'd be looking
They're a
better.
very well balanced team, I say.
Yeah. I are also too like just as a little bit of a tangent. I've been saying forever, if you move Kyrie to the 2, a lot of your problems get fixed. But
I don't think he wants to play the 2.
he doesn't want to play exactly. He doesn't want to play the 2. But if you move him to the 2, then he doesn't have to worry about so and so didn't get their touches. You can just worry about just going out and being a killer, just going out to go ahead and score. And if you know that's you,
Okay.
like, and you're not really thinking about getting everybody else involved, and when you have the ball, you know that the movement kind of slows down, and there's a guy who that doesn't happen. I mean, why wouldn't you want to see your team thrive, switch your position? Like, I mean, personally, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that should just be the thing. But Kyrie's not going to go to the 2. So it's really just wishful thinking.
He's probably never played like that in his life. So like, and he's gotten this far.
Drastic change.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think about like how, okay, when he was with the Celtics, both the Celtics and now with the Nets, whenever he's not playing, the team does better and the ball is moving a
Mm-hmm.
lot more. Like he's kind of like causing some resistance when it comes to the ball movement. And I think if he just switches to the 2, a lot of that changes. And even though like he hasn't played like that before, I would just like to see it for a game maybe, because you need Kyrie
Okay.
when it comes to the clutch. But you also have to get to the point where you would need him for the clutch. Like if you guys are down 20 with 5 minutes to go, it doesn't matter what Kyrie does. You know what I'm saying? You need
Right.
to be in that position for Kyrie to ball out. And I think you just need the facilitator. So I personally feel like one of those two things has to happen. Either Kyrie steps it up and facilitates more, or he just goes to the 2. If you do that, the Nets look super nice. Depending on how KD looks when he comes back, realistically, 2-1 seed, potentially. You know what I'm saying? I think they look even better if Kyrie makes one of those decisions. This week on the Culture Corner, we are going to talk about something different. We're going to talk about what's going on in the film industry because Connor, Donovan, and I are all filmmakers. And right now, the industry is, it's in a very interesting place, to say the least. With Corona and all the various shutdowns that have taken place in LA, a lot of projects have been put on hold. A lot of gig workers haven't been able to work, and the younger folks like ourselves have, out there not been able to really get back into the industry and, be able to work their way up the way that they typically would have been if it wasn't for Corona. And something also very interesting that we've noticed is that a lot of producers are talking about how projects are back up and running, but we aren't hearing from the on-set people, like the assistant director, who is essentially like the boss on sets, or the grip, who is basically your construction worker handyman on set. So yeah, we're gonna get into that, and if we even think the film industry is still gonna be in LA after all this. Which, personally, I don't know what I think about where it's going to go just yet.
I mean, the industry's already split. So like a few years ago, it's been happening. You know, projects are moving to Atlanta. New York is still a big spot. Florida's becoming bigger, and Texas is getting bigger. The industry's never really in one spot, but I think LA is still going to be the main focus. I think there's just the industry there and the community is too big for people to want to move it.
I think a lot of productions already don't take place in LA outside of studio shows and like a lot of commercials, I believe. So like most big films that aren't set in LA already aren't shot there. But if you look at like offices for production companies, they're usually almost always in LA or New York. But that's mostly just because there's other, like a lot of LA, for those of you who don't know, is all about me getting coffee, getting lunch, networking, and bullshitting with everybody. And that's kind of how shit gets done out there. That's how a lot of people get jobs. That's how a lot of people get money for projects. That's how a lot of people get hired on projects. And that kind of shit looks like it's transitioning to Zoom for at least the next year, if not more. Like I'm sure a lot of it's back, but not all of that kind of stuff's back. There's a lot of like the clubbing and bars and social aspects of LA that make it so appealing, especially to me, but I'm sure to Freddie and Donovan as well. That kind of shit's not going to be back for a while. So I could definitely see a lot of production companies saying, hey, we're moving to Austin or Atlanta because they're not restricting travel. They're not restricting people being outside. They're opening shit up. We're moving there for a year or two. We're going to see how this plays out. We're not going to let Gavin Newsom or whoever's in charge in California dictate how we do our stuff.
Right, and I think it's really good to see that things are getting back to filming. Like, you have a lot of TV shows. I know This Is Us is back recording, and all these movies are getting back on set. It's really nice to see because we had a complete standstill.
Oh, You also was back recording.
So I think after that standstill, it's really hard to get back going, and to see all these films and these TV shows back filming, it's giving me a little bit of hope, and a little bit of hope can go a long way here, but I don't know if it's going to be back for us and for kind of the on-set and the lower positioned people. I don't think it's going to get back for us just yet. I think we still got a few more months before like the newcomer or the lesser experienced will really start to see like a surge in jobs coming back.
I think for sure in Austin and Atlanta and maybe even Miami, but I don't see like stuff opening up in LA again until at least there's a vaccine and there's herd immunity. Like they're nuts out there, dude, already. Like they're not opening up for until the end of the year at least.
No, see, I agree. The way it's looking in LA right now, it's just, if you have a vaccine, yeah, but like in perspective, the people who are way above us that have like 5 years in, they aren't working right now. So you're definitely not going to give like a rookie.
You're not going to give them the starting minutes yet, right?
Exactly. When the other people like haven't gotten their shape.
Yeah, like there's people like from like that we went to school with working out there now that like are working like once every 6 weeks, if that, right now, and they're coming back. Like I know multiple people that have came back from LA just this year, and multiple other people that are planning to come back in the next few months anyway. And like Freddie said, none of the films that are and projects that are shooting at the moment are hiring people at our experience level. Like we're not able to get experience because nothing well enough to hire us is really shooting outside of like independent projects. So we're kind of screwed in a way.
So do you think like with all of what's going on right now, to me at least, it seems like we're almost in a power vacuum. Like there's no rule, there's no like leader, like the status quo is broken.
Yeah,
you can just
sure
do whatever you want, right? So like, do you guys feel, because I was talking to my mom about this like a couple of weeks ago, that when things are back up and running, all of the work that we're doing now will be able to put us in positions where we won't even have to really be like some bottom of the barrel assistant. We
right.
can kind of hop into
go mid-level
a
almost.
role that we probably would have to wait a couple of years to get, because they want to pay us less, and they don't really have the budget to pay that senior person.
Right.
And they know that they can just give us whatever, and they know that if we have the experience from what we were doing at home and stuff, they can kind of just coach us along the rest of the way to make up for what we don't have the knowledge of just yet. Like, I think that
that's a great point.
could potentially happen.
I want to say yes, but at the same time, I think that still coming in, because we don't have the traditional experience, and experience is one thing, like we've done student films, we've done small projects, but I think having that one or two big projects on your resume right now is going to be huge. And it hurts to say because, you know, I know all of us really want to jumpstart our careers here, but I think it's going to take a second regardless, just because those higher up people that you're saying they don't want to hire are still going to get the jobs, just probably at a lower rate, just because they have that experience and nobody will have to help them. And because there's less people on set than there ever has been because of Corona, because of all the limitations, and they don't want to get people sick, there's 50 less people on set.
Right.
So those guys that you can trust are going to become real valuable.
If we're going to expect that nothing's going to be back in LA till, say, earliest at 2022, if nothing's going to be available for us to live out there full time and work full time out there with until 2022, whoever are interested should just move to Philly or congregate in an area and just work on our production reels for the next year and a half. Work on this, work on a YouTube channel, start to get some sort of following so that when shit's ready for us, like you said, we have a lot of shit to show people. So that's what I'm saying. We should spend the next year and a half just getting ready for film and whatever's post-COVID's version of the film industry and entertainment industry are. We got to have shit to show them.
You right, bro. You right. And I couldn't agree with you more, man. And, you know, I think even at whatever rate you can get the project out, I think that's commendable that you can even get something out. And then higher ups can say, oh, while the world was on fire, man's is over here shooting a whole little project. I like that. That's dedication. That means, you know, even in the midst of all that adversity, I can trust this person because they're very dependable.
So, where do we think the industry could move to if it doesn't stay where it is now?
Toronto, like Connor was saying before,
I was thinking
Toronto would be an interesting spot. And I think, like for folks who don't know, a lot of movies that are shot in New York are not like actually shot in New York because the budget to shoot in New York is
insane,
absurd.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then you also get like taxed out the ass. So a lot of cities and a lot of states have these tax break programs, especially Oklahoma, ironically enough, has like one of the best tax break programs in film. So you get a fair amount of money back for hiring X amount of workers and stuff like that in Oklahoma. And that's also why you have a lot of people like working in Atlanta. But one of those places, you know, a little bit quieter as it's kept, I guess, is Toronto. You know, Toronto's got the International Film Festival.
TIFF, right?
Everybody knows if you want to shoot for the low and make it look like New York, Toronto's the spot.
You're not wrong.
I like, and you know, I've been to Toronto. I like it a lot. I can definitely see you can fake it for New York so well.
A decent amount of stuff is already shot in Canada.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff shot in Vancouver as well.
So I think Canada in general is on the come up. Like, I'm not going to say a specific city, but I think Canada just in general is going to start getting so much more popular to shoot in.
I would not be against living in Canada, man.
I would like Toronto. I mean, like, I hate the cold, but for Toronto, I'll throw on the two hoodies. You dig?
I think Atlanta's going to start getting even bigger, though. I think Atlanta's already kind of second notch to LA.
Marvel's studioed in Atlanta. Well, yeah,
Marvel, they love it out there.
Marvel's there. Tyler Perry Studios there. Like, he makes a lot of stuff there. I know Blumhouse, I think.
Isn't Oprah out there, too?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of, like, CNN and, like, a lot of, like, TV production down there, too. Turner's down there. Like, there's a lot of stuff down there. Like, it's definitely a nice-looking option for it.
I think it was a couple years ago that people started shooting down there, like, a lot. And then they had that whole controversy with, it was abortion, if I remember correctly. And then people were like, oh, we don't know.
Oh,
yeah, it was huge. They decriminalized abortion, if I'm not mistaken, and people were up in arms. But I think they're going to start getting a lot of those studios back just because I think it's way easier to get land out there, and I think as much as you need people to be apart right now, it's going to be so much easier to keep your actors apart from the crew when they don't need to be, and you just have all that space.
Well, yeah, Atlanta, Georgia in general is like a cheap. I don't want to call it a cheap state because like there may be some Georgians out there who
Tax wise.
Yeah, it's just not an expensive state to be in.
Georgia is a spot.
Georgia's cool. I kind of hope Miami starts popping when it comes to film because like South Florida's kind of cool. Like I'm down here now. Like there's a lot of nice shit down here. Like I could definitely see a lot more stuff going down here. Like I could see a lot of like the adult entertainment industry coming down here if that leaves LA. But I don't know.
The beaches. And
The
people and
beaches, the
club
houses, the cars, bro. Miami's such a car
I think
city.
it would be really interesting if Miami was like a huge in the entertainment industry.
It does. It surprises
It really
me that it's
would.
not.
I feel like it would be more dangerous than LA though, in the fact that I feel like it's so much more reckless down there that a lot of your actors
Yes.
would get in even
Yeah,
more
but-
trouble.
LA's such a reckless place already, man.
But I think it would be really cool though, because I think Florida like just has a lot to it that would be really nice for like the film industry, like the entertainment. You know, you still have Disney World and stuff out there. Like
Well,
we
yeah.
just saw the NBA come from the bubble, and like that was all a huge success. So
Right,
you know
right.
you have like the draw to it already.
There's also a big diversity of land down here, down in South Florida. Is like really the only thing they don't have that LA and like Southern California have are like the mountains. Otherwise, like everything else they got. And even then, like there's mountains in Georgia, there's mountains in Kentucky. Like that's not that far away. Plus, I think the South of America kind of needs something to draw it down there.
Having that draw further down south would be pretty tough. That would really spice it up.
Like Donnie said, there's plenty of land down in this area of the country that's I don't want to say not being used correctly, but like
Mhm.
there's definitely a lot of land to be bought for not super expensive prices that like it could kind of revitalize the whole region of the country in a way, which I don't think is really a bad thing. I don't think giant like groups of people like intermingling with each other is really ever a bad thing, especially when there are like differences. Like there's a lot of differences in the people itself. So the film industry moving to Texas or moving south down to Florida and like Georgia and stuff, probably not a bad thing for those areas in general anyway. Most stuff that's filmed in cities anyway is still going to be filmed in Toronto or New York anyway. But the stuff that's filmed in
Yeah.
LA is like outdoor stuff that's for commercials, for cars driving around and stuff, and like other commercials outside, and like studio shows. I'm talking like sitcoms and game shows and news and stuff like that. That's all filmed out in LA still. I don't think there's. I don't want to say I don't think so. There's probably not as many films filming in LA as we think.
No, I feel like it's a lot of TV shows though.
It is a lot of TV shows, but there's also like a lot of music videos and stuff that are being filmed there that could be filmed anywhere. That's nice weather-wise and has like fancy houses and cars and stuff, you know?
Yeah, as long as you can pull off the look of I live a lavish lifestyle.
Right, that's majority of music videos now, it seems anyway. That could be done, and that could easily, if it makes kind of more sense for that to be done in Miami, in a way.
I think we're seeing a lot of it though, like people who are more independent creators or smaller budget creators aren't really sticking to the big cities anymore. You see a lot of people filming out in the Midwest
nice.
and super far north. It's really cool to see.
Well, that's a lot to do with the accessibility of the equipment, too. Cameras are probably the cheapest and best they've been probably ever when it comes to this professional grade cameras for anybody to buy.
Right. And a lot of places, have big rental houses. So it's not a matter of can I get the equipment, it's the rates and the ability of the workers around you, because certain markets, not going to say they're worse, but they don't have as much ability and experience as a New York or LA would have.
You're right about that.
We were in Philly. There are some pretty solid rental houses in Philly. Like I know last summer I was working on a short film and I had looked at New York because New York is closer to me for like a rental house, and I couldn't really find a price that I had liked, but I was able to find one resolution in Philly, and they were able to hook me up pretty well. So I think you might have some that are like the lower key ones that may not have everything. They might be willing to work with you and like cut you a break here and there, just so they can like keep business going and get that like solid recommendation.
Right. Whereas LA, that's not happening. You're paying full price for everything. They're not giving you any breaks. Like, you break something, you buy it.
Yeah, word. Like they're gonna be like, oh, you don't want to buy? Fine, the dude behind you will buy. Next, like.
But I definitely could see the film industry and even just the entire entertainment industry moving and diversifying throughout, not even just America, but throughout the entire
the world.
Even American stuff. I could see start shooting in Canada and parts of Toronto.
I could see a lot of stuff moving to London too. Like I know there's already a lot of Warner Brothers stuff shot there.
Mhm.
That's another
Yeah,
city.
there is.
That's another city you could fake as New York if you need to, like Freddie was talking about.
Mhm. Oh, that's very true.
I also wouldn't be against less shit being set in New York.
Yeah,
Me
I mean,
neither, honestly. I feel like it's starting to get overplayed. Like, everything's in New York, everything's in LA.
There's definitely a lot of news going on in the film industry, whether it be productions resuming, productions moving, companies resuming, or companies moving. We'll keep you guys up to date on whatever news is going on, and whatever news is going on with us, you'll be probably the first ones to hear about it.
rest in peace, Sean Connery, hard as James Bond, arguably fantastic actor. You know what I'm saying? He was out here in Indiana Jones too. Rest in peace to him.
That's all the time we're going to have for today here on our episode 5. I'd like to thank everybody out there for listening. Please share us. You know, we really appreciate everybody who listens, and welcome to any new listeners. So, for The Jersey Doesn't Come Off, I'm Donovan Kennedy, along with
Freddie Goodman, and
Connor Johnson.
have a good life, everybody.
hey, everybody, you know what I'm saying? Be safe, be blessed. Peace.